Hello and welcome to another episode of the FemiNinja Project. And as always, I have a fantastic and fascinating guest with me today. His name is Tom Paladino, and he is a distinguished scalar energy researcher who specializes in the profound realm of scalar energy, the fundamental life force permeating every aspect of our world, space, and the universe. His groundbreaking theories propose that scalar energy serves as the genius of all energy in the universe. Tom has developed scalar energy instruments capable of transmitting instructive energy to heal individuals remotely with remarkable success in treating various quantum illnesses. Tom, thanks so much for being here and welcome to the show.
And I thank you. What an invitation. I'm up.
Well, I'm honored to have you, and I have to tell you, you are my first scalar energy expert. I had never even heard of it before.
Not a problem. Everybody's an expert in scalar energy. It's sunlight. I deal with sunlight or starlight. I have an instrument that captures sunlight. So if we will allow ourselves to realize that the energy from the sun can be captured, then we're going to have a fluid conversation. And I'm in my laboratory for that reason.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Well, just tell us, how did you get interested in this field, and how did you figure out how you could capture sunlight? And I'm lucky. I live in Colorado. We have sunlight, like over 300 days of sunshine a year, but please don't tell anybody that because we don't want anybody else to move here. But I am originally from Western Pennsylvania, which we never saw the sun from probably October until April or May.
I can resonate with that. So we're going to speak about, once again, scalar energy, scalar light. How did I get into this? Well, my imagination was really piqued by a great scientist, Nikola Tesla. And if that name rings a bell with your audience, Nikola Tesla was not only a great theoretician and an engineer with AC electricity. Later in his life, Tesla was working with sunlight, non-physical sunlight, what he called radiant energy. Now, later in his life, his inventions, Tesla's inventions, were extraordinary. Nobody's duplicated those inventions. Why? Because he was working with radiant energy, scalar energy. He was no longer working with electricity. So Tesla, to be clear, had two careers. First with AC electricity, then with scalar energy, or radiant energy, as he termed it. Now, moving away from AC electricity, Tesla saw that wireless, non-physical energy was to be preferred. He wanted to change the world with this free energy from the sun and the stars. So I would like to see his dream come true. I'm continuing on with that legacy. I want to give to the world free energy.
Well, we sure could. We appreciate that because we sure can use it. Energy is incredibly expensive.
It is, and we need a new model. Thank you for realizing that. So with invention, we have new technology. That's what I'm doing. This invention behind me is a scalar energy instrument. It acts like a miniature star. If I hold up a light bulb close to the instrument, the light bulb animates under the influence of the instrument. So this is not an electrical instrument. It's a miniature star, and it doesn't behave like electricity or magnetism. So to be clear, we're going to speak about this other dimension of energy, in specific what it can do for what I call quantum health, human health at an energetic level, not biological, at an energetic level.
Mm-hmm. That is fascinating. And it's a really interesting way of looking at things. The energetic, or I don't know, the energy fields. I mean, this is something that I probably would have poo-pooed, maybe 30 years ago, because of course I was in a much different mindset. But the power of energy, it's all around us. And we're even emitting energy constantly.
Yes.
Is this true?
Yes, exactly. And so we must realize that we're not only biological people, we have an aura or a force field or an energy field. And that energy field is as important as our biological body, our physical body. So the easy way to go about human and animal health as far as I'm concerned, is not biologically, but through information. That's what this instrument is. It's an information instrument. And I never work with people in person. I work with people by way of their photograph. The instrument only works with photographs of people. A photograph is their energy field or their force field. So this instrument behind me, I never put a person inside the instrument. It won't fit. It's a small instrument. I can miniaturize a photograph and put a photograph of a person in the instrument. This is an entirely new science. It's obviously not taught by academia. I've discovered this process.
Mhm.
I have no predecessors except a man by the name of Hieronymus, who really was my, posthumously, he was my mentor.
Mhm.
Nonetheless, we're going to speak about working with photographic force fields that have our aura or energy field, and we can influence the aura or the force field on a photograph. Now, what does that mean? Instead of a person traveling to my laboratory, in substitution, you bilocate, you send your photograph because your photograph carries your force field. Obviously, your photograph is not your physical body, it's your force field, it's your energy field.
Okay, so for those people, the listeners who are just listening to the audio, you might want to hop over onto YouTube and watch the video so you can see my face. Because I'm sure I have like my facial expressions, I can even feel them right now because it's like, this is so amazing. I've never heard anything like this. How does, I think my specific question is, if I sent you a photograph of myself from 10 years ago, as opposed to 10 days ago, would you get a different reading?
That's a great question. In scalar energy, in this force field, everything is in the present moment. So keep in mind, we're outside of electricity and magnetism. We're in a different dimension. This dimension of scalar energy does not recognize time. Any photograph is always in the present moment. Your photograph, if it was 5 or 10 years old, would still report your biorhythms at this exact moment, your heartbeat at this exact moment, your blood type, your blood pressure, your organ functions, your brain activity would all be present on the photograph as a force field, as a signature in the present moment. Now, I'm going to give the audience an analogy. For those of you who are watching by video, Cheryl and I are having a discussion one-on-one. Obviously, it's Cheryl's image in my computer. Cheryl is not in my computer. So to speak, Cheryl has bilocated to my laboratory through this computer, through our computer interface. Well, I do the same thing. People bilocate to my laboratory through their photograph. Mm-hmm. So if we can have a discussion by way of our computers on a video call and communicate, then I can communicate with people by way of their photograph.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so how long have you been doing this?
My life. It's been 50 years.
Wow. Okay. And as you're doing this work, and especially as you were developing it, what kind of feedback would you get from the people you're working with, the researchers, and especially the traditional medical community? Let me just say that.
That's a good point. This has nothing to do with traditional medicine. Mm-hmm. This is a new process. My instrument is unique, and nobody's duplicated my work. So that's a mouthful, right? Mm-hmm. Since nobody's ever duplicated my work, I can't consider this Western medicine. Mm-hmm. I certainly would never consider it Western medicine. And I don't want medicine, nor is this Newtonian physics. Mm-hmm. So to use the word new is really an understatement. This is a new technology. It's a new process. It's a new type of instrument. Mm-hmm. This is all cutting edge. It has no category yet.
Okay. So then when you talk about quantum healing and being able to have this, long distance healing, what do you mean by quantum healing? When I think about healing, I think about people trying to recover from either physical disorders or emotional dysfunction, that type of thing.
Yeah, that begs the question, what is quantum? It's a new dictionary that we need. The term that I use, quantum, is really with scalar. Now, keep in mind, scalar is not electricity or magnetism. So quantum energy, scalar energy, is outside of Newtonian physics. One is the apple, the other is the orange. So when I say quantum healing, it's scalar energy healing.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that I do revolves around this type of instrumentation. I am not a healer. I don't claim to be a healer. This has nothing to do with Western science. It's a new science that I have discovered, or that I have extrapolated upon after Tesla's discovery.
Mm-hmm.
So to be clear, we're going to enter into a new realm of physics, a new branch of physics. It's so promising because it solves problems. That's what I'm all about. I solve problems as a scalar energy theorist.
Mm-hmm. So what kind of problems do you solve?
Okay. For instance, if somebody were to send me their photograph,
Mm-hmm.
and I would match that photograph up in my instrument with the herpes virus.
Okay.
Now, keep in mind, everything is communication. This is a magnified photograph of the herpes virus. For those who can't see this on video, I'm holding up two photographs. A photograph of myself, which is always in the real time, and a magnified photograph of the herpes virus. Now, keep in mind, everything has a light signature. Now, there's a light signature of herpes, and my photograph has a light signature. These two photographs communicate, just as we're communicating by way of this video call.
Mm-hmm.
When I place these two photographs inside my instrument, the energy or the signature of the herpes virus is identified in my quantum field. If I have the herpes virus, the instrument will reduce the signature of herpes to chaos. It will nullify, remove, eradicate, disassemble, cure the signal of herpes. Now, keep in mind, this is an energetic function. We work with the bilocated version, a person's photograph. We never work with people. So if I can have a communication, our language is, if you will, English, and we're communicating in English by way of a Zoom call, then I can communicate by way of the language of scalar energy and negate the herpes signal in my quantum field, my quantum body.
So does it work then for other maybe pathogens or other, let's say, mutant, I'm using air quotes here, mutant cells like maybe precancerous type of thing?
No, I've not perfected cancer yet because I don't know how to define it. But to answer your question, for other microbes, I'm going to hold up a photograph of Candida albicans. This is a fungus. It's a common fungus. Now, many people, when this is advanced, this becomes pathogenic. It causes a great deal of discomfort. Well, I've worked with both men and women around the world. And when they send me their photograph, I will work with this fungus, Candida albicans. And lo and behold, after I work with this photograph of Candida albicans and interface it, communicate it with their photograph or my photograph, people say that the symptoms of Candida albicans are abated. They no longer have the symptoms of this pathogenic presence, this pathogenic organism. Meaning what? Most likely we've eliminated the pathogen on a biological level, but I never can prove that. Why can't I prove that? I never work with people, I work with photographs. I only can prove my work in my laboratory on photographs. So if the action that I take on a photograph will correspond to the action on a person, in person, then yes, this works. Yes, there's validity here. But nobody's been able to establish that. I cannot establish that. To be clear, nobody can measure this energy. This energy is chi or prana. So the drawbacks are you cannot measure the energy. It's not recognized by academia. I only work with photographs. I only can prove my work with photographic force fields. Nobody can prove a connection between a photograph and a person. That's a theory. I think it's valid. I can't prove it though. And finally, you know, the fact that this is so new and I'm the only one in the world with this type of instrument, nobody has duplicated my results. Nobody has this type of instrument. So I have no peers. Nobody can prove or disprove my work. So this is cutting edge, as I said. quite cutting edge. So how do I prove it? By testimonies.
Mhm.
The people prove it. There's no scientific group in the world that can prove or disprove my work. There's no scientific protocol that can prove or disprove my work.
So, okay, so you were talking about chi and prana, and that of course really resonated with me. You started talking about that even before we began recording, and equating it like to my martial art practice. And chi can be so incredibly powerful. I mean, just experiencing it myself when
Yes.
I have somebody, again, air quotes, attacking me, because this is at the dojo, so everything's controlled. But if somebody's attacking me, I actually stopped a guy, and this was several years ago. It was during a test. He was coming at me from across the room, across the dojo. This guy's about 6'2", and he was much younger than me. He was 25. I was probably 57 at the time. And he was coming at me with a stick, and that's what he was going to attack me with, was the stick. And I just looked at him and I stopped him with a look. And you could even see it. It's on video. You could see him hesitate and stop, and then he had to kind of gear up again before he would come at me. So I really understand the power of the chi and the energy, but I'm still having a hard time wrapping my head around how we capture this from the sun and then be able to, transmit it. I mean, it's just mind-boggling.
Yes, it is. That's what chi is. That's what this instrument is. That's a great example. Thank you for sharing that. Now, here's the nice part of this. Everybody's a chi expert. What do I mean? Brain waves are chi.
Hmm.
Heartfelt emotions are chi. Okay, brain waves are chi energy. Our emotions, our feelings are chi emanations. We're broadcasting chi.
Hmm.
Chi is synonymous with scalar energy, plasma, 0 point energy, life force energy. So we go back now centuries, we go back millennia, and the ancients always revered some type of chi or prana or consciousness. Well, they're right. They're absolutely right. And what Tesla discovered and I've rediscovered is indeed chi, prana, and consciousness. These are chi instruments,
Hmm.
not electricity. It's a different spectrum altogether.
Hmm. Okay, so I have to ask you this, because we all do have chi. We all have our consciousness. But do you think that in our modern society that a lot of our natural self-awareness, our consciousness, our chi has kind of been drained out of us a little bit because of all of the stuff that we get bombarded with?
Yes. We live on a polluted planet, including the electronic smog, the
Mm,
electromagnetic frequencies that are deleterious to our health. What's the point? Going back to 0 point energy, that will realign the body and the mind and the soul. Now,
mhm,
when I practice this chakra balancing on people, on their photograph, in their force field, people tell me that they can give up sometimes coffee, or they're no longer prone to drink alcohol. Some people say that this gives them some type of release of a emotional trauma. Others will say that they just feel better. Some people say that their dream state is enhanced. Now, how do I do that through a photograph? Well, the animating force is energy, scalar energy. It's not me. And apparently, downloading corrective energy, chi, into a photograph will help people overcome addiction, will produce a state of tranquility, peace, and calm. Will, if you will, realign our 7 chakras that have been out of alignment because of a lot of Wi-Fi or electromagnetic smog. So we're going back to the first principle. We're going back to source energy, divine energy, God's energy, which should and does correct everything.
mhm. Wow, I just love that. That just sounds so positive. It sounds so healthy. Not the part about the pollutants and all the electromagnetic pollutants, but the fact that we can correct that or get away from that.
Yes, yes, you're right. And I've always said that there is a heaven, and in heaven, every heavenly being is composed of scalar light. It's
Hmm.
perfect light. It doesn't degrade. It doesn't experience what is called entropy. In other words, you're immortal with scalar light.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas electricity and magnetism experiences entropy. The signal will degrade, which is death and disease.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going back to the source of life,
Mm-hmm.
LIFE.
Mm-hmm. So that this brings me to another point. It just popped into my head because I don't know if you've ever had this experience where you meet somebody for the first time and it's almost like, where have you been? Or, they just like emit some kind of, I don't want to, field, energy field, or just so much love or so much warmth that you just want to
Yes.
say, oh, I want to be your friend.
Yeah. And that's I believe the scalar energy that they're emanating.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can distinguish. Some people are very sensitive between people who are benign and people who are malevolent. And if
Mm-hmm.
you're benign, if you're friendly, you have that aura. Now, if if you don't do good, if you are malevolent, then you have that aura of malevolence, and
Mm-hmm.
that is apparent. Some people can pick up those energy fields.
Mm-hmm. We actually did some practice with that several years ago in the dojo where somebody would get behind you and so you couldn't see them and they would either project really feelings of goodwill towards you or feelings of ill will. And I mean, whoo, I could feel like just almost like spiders crawling up my spine because actually it was sensei's sensei, who was pretty scary to begin with, behind me. And the first time he says, well, I think that maybe you're just not feeling this, that, you're working with somebody who's just, the timing is what you're sensing. So he got behind me. And at first, he sent some energy my way and I started giggling because it was obviously, he was sending masculine energy to my feminine. I was like, oh, that's not very threatening. And then all of a sudden, it's like the hair in the back of my neck started to stand up. And and that's when he says, turn around when you feel threatened. And I turned around. He says, you're very sensitive. And one
Mm,
of the women told me later, said, you should have seen the look on his face. I says, I didn't need to see it. I felt it.
yeah, yeah. So this gives credence to clairvoyance. This gives
Mhm.
credence to deja vu. This gives
Mhm.
credence to some people who are very creative. Why are they creative? Well, they have that gift of scalar energy in their mind. They're allowing them to be creative. Where does a thought come from? And
Mhm.
why does a thought transcend time and space? Well, thoughts are eternal. They travel from one end of the universe to the other, so to speak. Why? It's a scalar wave.
Mhm.
And it's quite different than that of electricity. Electricity is really enfeebled compared to scalar energy.
Okay, and since you say it's feeble compared to scalar energy, but also then there is the other side of that, that it's harmful.
Yes, yes. Now, some people recognize that there are certain frequencies of electricity that are unfriendly to our body or our mind or our
Mhm.
psychology. Many people have said if they live close to high tension wires, electrical wires,
Mhm.
that it throws them off. They don't feel well. Some people think that there's an increase of medical issues if you live close to an electrical power plant or close by electrical lines.
Mhm.
There's been credence there to that. That's been documented. Now, the new phenomenon we have to observe is that cell phone towers give off so much energy. Some people do not want to live close to a cell phone tower. Now, all of those are examples of electricity, high voltage electricity that probably carries with it inimical frequencies. Okay, so what do I like about scalar? There's no frequency. This is
Mhm.
not electricity. This is life force energy. And it's been shown that scalar energy will enhance our psychology, our spiritual state, our biological state.
Is that why, and I'm really going out on a tangent here. I think there's a place called the Blue Zone somewhere. I think it's where people live to be,
Yes,
into their past 100, and they're all
yes.
very healthy and happy and functional. Is it because they don't have, that's, part of it, they don't have that kind of interruption in their nervous system from the
Yeah.
power grid?
I, I think so. There's even a place in outside of San Diego, Loma Linda, which is a blue zone, and that's removed from the downtown area. But they also practice really what I would consider a Christian or conservative lifestyle. which leads to that. But let's speak to this immediate issue. I think that if we live away from high tension wires or a great deal of electricity, that yes, that probably will help us avoid some medical issues in the future.
Mm-hmm. Geez, that is absolutely fascinating. So let's talk about, let me see, it was something about, oh yeah, how can, this is, I got this off of your bio, how can scalar energy put an end to the energy crisis? Oh, please give me hope.
Yeah. Tesla was able to take a light bulb and illuminate it at a distance of miles. I can't do that yet, but I can do that locally. Now, if I can demonstrate that in the future, if I can amplify this energy and then transmit it, it's all wireless. The infrastructure, by the way, pre-exists. Then I can send energy at a distance and illuminate a building or a city. And if I can do that, illuminate at a distance, then that's the beginning of a new era, an era of, if you will, non-carbon energy, an era of wireless energy, energy from the sun and the stars. There's no fossil fuels whatsoever to be tapped. We're tapping the energy of the stars.
Mm-hmm. That's another thing I find fascinating, because the sun, I get it, because, it's pretty obvious. But the fact that we can get energy from the stars, and how many stars are in the galaxy?
You're absolutely right. So this is an unlimited supply of energy. Now, the audience will appreciate why Nikola Tesla, the great scientist, began his career with electricity, AC electricity. Later in his life, he no longer was inventing any AC electrical device. Later in his life, all of Tesla's work was wireless. All of his work was with scalar energy, what he called radiant energy. Why did he have such an abrupt change in his life? He recognized that scalar energy was far superior to that of electricity.
Mm-hmm. And some of the harm, too, that electricity could do. I'm sure he was aware of that as well.
He was shocked a number of times working with electricity. It's inevitable.
Yeah.
It can be dangerous.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But is there any danger working with the scalar energy to yourself as you're working with it?
No, I've never experienced that. I've never had a shock. I've never had a biological reaction. Remember, this is all non-physical information. I only work with force fields. I've been working with scalar energy instruments for 30 years. I believe this has prolonged my life. I'm 63 years of age, and I have no medical issues whatsoever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you look great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
I attribute that in part to the scalar. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So now, of course, you are certainly not done in your research. Where do you see it going from here?
Well, today in my laboratory, I work with 500,000 photographs.
Mm-hmm.
The photographs can be miniaturized. So I'm going to repeat that. It's easy for me to work with 500,000 photographs in one day.
Jeez.
My goal is to work with 2-3 million photographs a day. My ultimate goal is to work with 1 billion photographs in a year. And if people get on board and they send me collages like this, group photographs, it's tenable. We can eventually work with 1 billion people a year.
That is so mind-boggling. And the level of hope that comes out of that is just overwhelming. And I think we all need a little bit of hope right about now.
We do. That's what technology can do for us. That's the whole point of my career. It helps us. Imagine a world without any technology, right? We would be living in a cave or underneath a tree.
Right.
Okay? Look at the ease and comfort that technology brings. This is new technology. This should enhance our social order. This should make life better.
Mm-hmm. Boy, I would certainly like that, and maybe even bring about world peace while you're at it. That would be good.
Yeah. Well, consider this, Cheryl. If energy is free, you're not going to have any wars over oil or natural gas. You're not going to worry about this anymore. Mm-hmm. And if you can distribute this energy through an infrastructure that's free, it's the ether, well, then you don't have to even worry about building power plants or distribution lines. It's free. And when something's free, they're not going to fight over it.
This brings me to another question. Can you envision a time where all of the power grid would not, basically wouldn't even exist? I mean, all of these, high voltage areas where you're like, people don't want to live under them. Do you envision a future where we actually do not
Yes.
need them?
Correct. Yes. Electricity in 50 years will be passé.
Wow.
Yeah. We won't have an electrical grid. It's too expensive, too dangerous. It's too difficult to maintain. Now, keep in mind, there's no grid system here.
Mhm.
I can send this energy anywhere in the solar system or the universe for that matter.
Mhm.
I don't need telephone wires. I don't need transformers. There's no physical requirement. Everything is non-physical. And once you're working in that spiritual realm, non-physical, the infrastructure, the industry behind electrical production or even oil production, all of that's passé. You don't need to drill for oil anymore. All of that's obsolete.
Wow. That's just incredible. Okay, so Tom, how can the listeners get a hold of you? Where can they find you? How can they connect with you?
The website is scalarlight.com, SCALAR, scalarlight.com. Visit the website. Now, anybody in the world is entitled to 15 days of free sessions. We have a 15-day experience. Anybody can email your photograph and your family members with their permission, and we'll treat you for free for 15 days. We'll balance your chakras. We will eliminate, once again, we'll identify and eliminate microbes. And there's another technique where I can take vitamins and I can download nutrients, vitamins into your quantum field. I do all of that by way of photographs of vitamins and minerals because my work is informational, it's not biological. And I send the information of vitamin B4 into my quantum field. So that's our nutrient program. Visit the website. Anybody can sign up for 15 days free sessions.
Mhm. Wow. Okay, that's awfully generous of you. Is there anything else you want to share with the listeners?
Let's change the world. Scalar
Oh, gotta
made to solve many problems.
Okay. So you froze on me a little bit here. Let's give it a minute. There we go. Okay, you're still okay. All righty. Okay. Oh shoot. There you are.
Okay, we're back.
You're back. Okay, so I think, where did we end off?
I was introducing the 15-day session.
Yeah, and we got that. That came across pretty
Did you get
clearly.
did you get the part about the vitamins?
Got the part about the vitamins, and then you said, oh, give me a minute.
Why don't you ask the question again? How do you see scalar energy? What do you see the future? And I'll just conclude with that.
Okay, yeah. What do you see the future of scalar energy?
This is a new technology in which it is easy now to achieve a work function. What was difficult to perform in the past, energy generation is now easy. So scalar energy will make it much less dangerous. It's a really safe way of going about our affairs.
Mm-hmm.
A new technology, this should change the social order. Scalar energy will change the social order. It will benefit everybody on the planet.
Oh gosh, I love hearing that. That's awesome. Tom, thank you so much for being here. This has been a great conversation. It's given me a whole lot of hope for the future. And I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Cheryl.
And good luck with your, continuing research. I think that's just awesome.
Keep me in prayer. We're going to do it.
I will. I certainly will. And I've got a lot of energy to share. So everybody, right?
A lot of chi. You're a chi master. I see that.
Thank you. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. What an amazing technology. And please do go to Tom's website, do connect with him, get that sign up for the 15 days of free scalar light sessions and see what they can do for you. And just remember that keep learning, keep an open mind. New discoveries are always coming up to help keep us healthy and happy and hopefully safe. And just remember to continue to find what's out there, because there's so much out there that we don't know. And that is the way of the FemiNinja. Hang on a second. I can't even find where the heck. Hang on a minute.
Thank you so much.
Hang on a sec.